everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first ever speed build. Previously I did not consider myself much of a builder, but the more and more I practice, the more and more I actually enjoy building. So we might see some more speed builds on this channel. I hope you stick through that. In this video, we were building an arcade. I don't know, I just wanted an arcade for my Sims to just go and play with. And I saw some arcades on the gallery, but I didn't really like them all that much. They just didn't fit the idea of what an arcade was in my head. So here I just dropped down a room and I decided to add brickwork because when I think of arcades, I tend to think of like, I don't know if you ever watched Hey Arnold or other shows from the 90s and early 2000s, but I just always thought of like, you know, a brick front building and glass windows and doors, and inside are all the games. So just think retro. So now I'm throwing out different pieces, different game pieces that I want inside, just so I have an idea of some of the items that I want inside, help myself visualize where I'm gonna put everything. As you can see here, I'm going through the different half walls and the freezies, just so I can set up the outside as I envisioned it before I forgot. So when it comes to building and decorating and all that lovely stuff, my brain kind of works all over the place. So buckle in. Right now I am building a counter because when I think of an arcade, I think of, you know, when you first enter in, there's the workers there, they greet you, you can see different things there. But since I'm working on counters, I decided to build like a mini food court on the opposite side of the greeting counter. I know that in many other people's speed builds, they will build first and then decorate. But like I said, my brain is kind of all over the place, for one. And two, I imagine arcades to be somewhat simple in their exterior design. And so I'm gonna leave mine fairly simple and just start decorating. As you can see. As I was building, I realized it was pretty dark in there, so I started adding lights. I decided I wanted to do something very colorful. When I think of arcades, I think of, you know, the light from the games being the source of light inside. And so I chose these colorful lamps, so that way I can kind of add to that lighting, and it can be like a blue or a purple light inside. So as I organize the lights, I organize the game pieces too. And I just put them back to back, you know, classic arcade style. Next, I add the beginning of a basement, just throwing down the shell because I realized with the shell that we have so far, there's not enough room for bathrooms or anything else. So I'm gonna use that space later and you will see what for, you know, besides the bathroom. Sorry I've been gone for so long, but are you really a Sims player if you don't play for a while and then go on like a 6-month hiatus? I mean, really. But now I'm somewhat back. I'm going to be giving this channel a backseat to the rest of my life because although I enjoy playing Sims and I want to share it with the world, it's just not a priority. And I just feel like there's more things that I can work on as far as like my presentation when it comes to The Sims. So you'll be getting stuff here and there. Thank you for my subscribers who are still subscribed. I'm not completely giving up on this channel. It'll just be a few and far between. So as you can see here, I was starting to set up the gaming mats, but I decided to move them closer to the door because as I visualized this arcade, I just saw people playing, or Sims playing on the gaming mats through the door. Like, wouldn't that bring you into an arcade if you saw someone playing in this virtual cube and you saw them from outside? And then I thought, how can I fill the space between the gaming mats and the arcade consoles? And I thought, what better than tablets or computers? So now this arcade is a little less retro and a little more half retro, half modern. Right? I mean, because when you think of like an internet cafe or something, it's like a mashup between an internet cafe and an actual arcade. And then I thought, oh wow, cool. They have these cute little different colored laptops and different colored tables. So why not use them? And then it'll just add to the playful aura, I guess, of the arcade as a whole. Oh my gosh, did anyone else know that you could put multiple tablets on a table like that? I mean, I've never used these specific tables before, so that was a pleasant surprise for me. And then because I have such a thing about symmetry, I was actually really happy that I could have 3 tablets on one and 3 tablets on the other. So then of course I had to finish off the symmetry and add one more table with one more laptop. That way the left side matched the right side. Next is to find the right chairs, and what better chairs to use than something that looks a little bit more futuristic, something alien-like, something arcade-like. Next, I needed a carpet. I was thinking something fun and something patterned, kind of like, the seats on a bus. Something fun and whimsical and not as obviously dirty when plenty of people will be walking on it and dropping food and candy. And this is where my brain really starts to go, what next, what next, what next? Because I didn't have a particular plan of how I wanted to build the arcade. I just knew I wanted to build one. And so I saw the trash can and the generic items. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do need a trash can. And let's just continue to work on this kitchen area. And whatever else I find while I'm in this section. So then I saw the vending machines and was like, oh my gosh, absolutely, I need those, I don't care. Let's vend it up. Next I'm like, okay, I know I saw paper towels and I know I saw soap. Let's try to make this as realistic as possible. Now that we've got some of that out the way, I'm like, the walls look naked. I'm not getting the lighting I want in here. I think I want something dark. And I saw the confetti wall and immediately fell in love. I was like, wow, this is really giving the dark feel of a regular arcade. It's also giving me like nighttime sky vibes, if that makes sense. It just makes you feel kind of ethereal in a way. And just in a different place, because arcades, you go to arcades to have fun. The youth go to arcades to escape the mundanity and just the hardship of young person life. I remember those days. Middle school was a rough time. I wish I had an arcade to go to when I was in middle school. So then I see these lockers, and then I think, would that be cool? Are those in arcades? I didn't like how it looked, so I decided against it. But what I did want right there, in that same area that I tried to put the locker, was a display shelf. When you go to an arcade, you have to trade in your tickets for something. And then I saw this display shelf from the, Jungle Adventure Pack. Again, I'm not really a builder, or at least I didn't think of myself as a builder, so there are a lot of items that I hadn't used before, and I was so impressed. I'm like, wow, what are some items I can fill in this? So like, let's do some bubbles, the little pieces that only cost like 25 tickets. And then because I was in this area, I saw the dartboard and thought, yes, of course, let's put a dartboard in there. I mean, we're all about games, it's an arcade. And I did it right then and there so I wouldn't forget later. And then I come back to the display case and keep looking for more items to put inside. Finding items to go into the display case was probably the most time-consuming part of this build, just because you had to find what fit and what didn't fit, where it could fit inside, and so many other things. I mean, of course I got distracted too, so that took a little bit of time away, but yeah, I couldn't decide the things that I wanted, and then when I could decide what I wanted, it made a difference of where it could fit on the shelf. I didn't know I could use that top part, so then I was like, oh yes, we can find more things to put in here. But then I was also stuck because I was like, what else can I put in here? What are some things that people would like to trade in tickets for? So as I'm going through these different pieces and seeing what doesn't fit, I think seeing the robot sparked my imagination, and I thought, of course, people love little tiny squishy things. Let's see if I can put some of that in there. So I go to the kids section, add a rubber ducky, a little panda, and just something else fluffy, small, low ticket items that people could buy. And then I saw that board and was like, yes, it's going to be a community arcade. Let's put a board up. That way we can announce, different tournaments that are happening at the arcade and, just things around the community. But as I continued decorating, I realized I wasn't satisfied with the layout entirely. Just something about it was off to me. It wasn't symmetrical enough. No, I don't think that was it. But it did feel like it was lacking something. So I was on a mission. I was fully determined to find something else to fill in that spot. Yes, I even went so far as to try putting a pencil case or a pencil holder into the area, but I didn't like it, so I moved on. I was like, okay, I gotta finish decorating the kitchen area. But before I do that, I know I saw something else somewhere that I want on that counter, so let's just finish it while my mind is on it. So I did, and then I remembered the registers too. Like, oh yeah, if this is an arcade, if you're trading in tickets or whatever, or you need to purchase coins to play the games, you need a register. So I added a register to the front check-in area, I guess you could call it. And I also added a register to the kitchen area, because if we're going for realism, which I was, you would have to pay for your food. And then as you saw earlier in the video, it is just a regular cabinet for now. But in order to increase my gameplay, I ended up changing that counter into a bar and making the entire venue a bar. This is uploaded onto the gallery under my OriginID Simani, the same as this channel. And it's listed as general. But as far as in my game, I changed it to the bar. That way Sims would spawn by themselves and it wouldn't be just myself playing in the arcade. Next, I needed some windows. Honestly, I wanted floor to ceiling windows, but then I thought that looked kind of weird and I didn't see any that actually fit what I wanted. So I just went with these smaller ones. And you know what? You know how you can make things bigger or smaller? You can't really do that with windows. And I hate it. I just wish you could make them bigger without leaving like a weird hole in the wall. Sims, can we fix that, please? I mean, there is a long list of other things that people have complained for, and I can live without it, but I would appreciate it because I definitely would have made these bigger if it weren't for that issue. And so at this point, I'm somewhat satisfied with the interior of the arcade, so I start working on the exterior because I realize it looks really boring. I would not just walk into a brick building if I didn't know what it was. So I was like, I need to decorate the outside and really make it appealing, really make it look like an arcade. In my head and on TV, a lot of arcades have like a sign up top that says arcade, letting you know that it's an arcade using a bright sign with bright lights and bright colors. So I kept trying to raise the half wall on the roof, but it just wasn't working for me. So then I decided, forget it, I'll just leave it as it was with this small sign. But then I thought, I could actually put these larger signs to use and it not be such a naked storefront. So at this point, I am now satisfied with what the upstairs looks like, and it's time to work on the basement. While I was working on everything else, I decided, let's actually use this area. Because it's an arcade, I actually wanted there to be a space for there to be board games or other group games that didn't involve electronics. So I was having a really hard time trying to figure out how to divide the downstairs, because I knew I needed a bathroom. I knew I wanted it to be a large bathroom with multiple stalls. I knew I wanted a gameplay area for these games that I just mentioned, but I didn't know how to divide up the space. So as you can see here, I kept struggling. I kept redrawing the walls until I finally just extended it and then split it in half. So that way there was enough room, because I decided I was going to do 2 bathrooms, and that way that can be split evenly down the middle. If you pay close enough attention, you could actually see me literally counting the squares for how many there are and making sure that it was even enough for my bathroom idea. Now that I finally had the space that I wanted, it was time for some doors so I wouldn't forget, and I actually wanted to set the tone of what I was building behind those doors. Now it's time for the bathroom. Since I hardly ever build, I decided I want to use some stalls that are a color that you don't normally see elsewhere. To be completely honest, I built these bathrooms off of the inspiration of other public venues in real life, like the movie theaters. I was definitely thinking of a Cinemark when I was building these restrooms. Now, this is not to say that it'll look exactly like a Cinemark bathroom, because I don't fully remember what they look like. We've been inside for so long at this point. But that's what I was thinking of. And so I just wanted it to be very public, very open. And of course, every bathroom, especially in a public venue, needs mirrors. I wanted to do these large mirrors, but then I realized, oh man, you can't fit them all together. And I didn't want to use a cheat yet. Oh wait, did you see what that mirror did? Okay, that's what the windows do. So go back and rewind that if you didn't understand what I meant earlier about the windows. But anyway, for the mirrors, I wanted to use those because those were the largest and fit my idea the most. And I didn't want to use any cheats just because, I don't know. I actually don't know why I didn't want to. I do use basic cheats very regularly, but I ended up deciding just to do it. Oh, I remember why. I wanted everything to be fully functional. But they should still be functional even with the cheat on. So now I'm looking for wall coverings. I wanted something tile because, again, public restroom, drawing inspiration from real life public restrooms. I liked the darkness. It seemed to match to me, to the upstairs, and just to the, space idea that comes with arcades. Maybe that's just me, but I do associate arcades and video games with space a little bit. And then, of course, what would any public restroom be without some form of music playing? But then that reminded me, I didn't have any music boxes anywhere else in the arcade. So, of course, I had to go through and furnish the whole thing so I wouldn't forget later. And I don't fully remember if public restrooms had rugs, but I needed something to fill the space. So next was the next room. Can you guess what it's supposed to be? You probably can since there's a giant screen on the wall. It's gonna be a movie theater. I thought it'd be really cool. I don't know if that's a thing that arcades do, but it is now a thing that my arcade is doing. And this is my first time working with platforms. I couldn't fully decide how I wanted to make the theater work, like if I was gonna have it be seats on the side or seats in the middle, but I ultimately decided just to lower all of it, and that way it'll just be steps and we don't have to worry about it before. I was actually surprised at how the platforms worked. So now that the ground was lowered and it looks more like a theater, it was time for some seats. I didn't realize that I was in the desk chairs. I was so confused as to why it wouldn't work. And so then I had, of course, to change the chairs. And I thought, oh, that'd be pretty cool to have it like, you know, if it's a cool arcade, they could have bean bags. But I ultimately decided against it just because you don't know how tall people are. And I don't know, that just felt, if I was going for realistic, it felt weird to me. It would have to be all flat seating if I was going to do beanbag seats. And I chose the color green because, again, I was thinking of the whole like outer space theme. I feel like that's just a thing in my head. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. But going with the green ended up making it a little difficult for decoration later. You'll see in a second. So this is now where things get difficult to me because I'm like, oh my gosh, what matches with green? And then you got the concrete of the floor that's going beneath floor level. And so I just didn't know what colors to match with it. I actually even opened up a color wheel online to help me find a color. I knew I wanted something dark, and if I'm thinking of a regular movie theater, they're usually red, right, on the walls. See, again, I don't remember because I've been quarantining for so long. So now I'm just trying out different paints to see what I want. I really wanted something dark, but if something light worked better, then I was willing to accept it. So I finally decided on a dark gray. I made the door frame to match. And then as far as the carpet went, I thought, I want something with a little texture in here just to give it a little oomph and just to match with the rest of the area. I just made it dark gray. Keep it simple. Finally, it was time for the board game room. Since I knew exactly what I wanted, I went straight into activities and skills and threw in the Don't Wake the Llama table and the card game table. I also wanted to throw a foosball table in there because why not? I mean, go to the arcade to have fun, play some games. I don't know. Are foosball tables in other arcades? Let me know if you've ever been to an arcade with a foosball table. I also put up a TV because I wanted there to be an area where people could play regular video games, like with a console. I know upstairs we have the arcade games, but I wanted just somewhere where they could sit down, relax, and play console games, kind of like a basement. And to continue our brown theme that I've started down here, I chose some chairs that were green and brown and then just tried to match the browns as close as I could. And because this is my first ever speed build that's going up on the internet for the world to see, I'm taking any and all comments and suggestions. Let me know. I want to know, what are some things I did well? What are some things I did not so well? What are some things that you like to see in your speed builds? And what keeps you engaged? Because I want to keep you coming back. I want to give you good content. So please let me know. You can either put it in the comments here or find me on social media. I will take your DMs. As I was finishing up in here, I realized I still forgot the wallpaper in the hallway. So I went up and did that before I forgot again. Then it was time to do the wallpaper in the dungeon. Well, no, in the basement. And so along the line of basement, I thought, okay, I'll just keep going with this brown theme. And I decided to do a dark brown. That way it's more of a basement feel. And then I tried a dark brown carpet, but I decided I like the light brown better. That way the room isn't overwhelmingly dark. You know, there's still a comforting feel to it. And for the decoration, I wanted to do some posters because if you're in a basement at home, you know, you've got your stuff up, it's your own space. So I really wanted to make this feel like a home basement. After finding the movie posters and putting those in the theater, I realized that the basement game room was still a bit lacking. And so I went through looking for different things. I kind of liked the palette of that painting that I just put up, but I didn't fully like it. So I thought, nah, what better than these inspirational posters from like 2009? And then I wanted something big over here, so I tried the giant paintings. And you'll see in a second that that didn't work. For this one, I didn't realize it was an entire mural. And I just decided that does not work. That does not fit the vibe, the theme that I'm going for in here. So then I saw this placard. And I know that's for the career, the police career. But I think it looks good. If you use your imagination, you can say it's like a tournament winner board. So every time they have a tournament down there, you know, the first place winner gets their name on that placard. And then I just added a couple other things. I ended up changing the carpet because it felt too clean in there. Because if we're talking about a basement, it's like, oh, you know, it's a little bit dirtier. And then finally it was time to decorate the outside. You know, it's not just the front of the arcade or the front of a building in general that needs decoration. So I added some AC boxes. I tried to add some pipes, but because of the platform that the building was on, it didn't work. It just looked weird. So I added some more vent boxes, much larger. It just gives the building character. And then I want to put a couple things on the roof. So I decorated the front a little bit, just gave it a little plant life, not too overwhelming or make it seem like the building was out of place. But I still felt like the sides of the building needed something. So thinking of that mural I saw when I was decorating the basement game room, I tried to put that up. I didn't like it so much. So I tried the other mural where the people can paint on it. It didn't work because of the platform. So then I saw these taggings and thought, oh, okay, why not? Sure, it's something. And then, you know, just makes it feel more teenagery, you know what I mean? Like if we're going with the comment that I made earlier about, you know, the youth and middle schoolers, you know, if they're just now finding their artistic expression, they might tag the building. And I thought that really just gave story and character to this building. So here I'm literally just doing the final touches, you know, adding different traits to the lot. So don't forget that you can find this on the gallery. My origin ID is Amani. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.